Hotep family, you're tuning into the pro-black perspective on KWAZ Radio. Revolutionary Matrons in the building. She says, greetings, fam. Africa must be reclaimed. And that's actually an excellent way to start off this podcast. So today we're going to be reading the Book of Power. This is episode 21. I'm not going to make it short. It's really short, though. It's like one paragraph. But I want to actually go into conversations about power, conversations about science, conversations about recognition. These are the things that we actually have to become serious about because, as it were, our enemies are serious about these things, right? So, as usual, I'm going to tell you, make sure you subscribe to the pro-black perspective. Make sure you subscribe to, obviously, Revolutionary Matron and everybody else who's in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to Bitter Medicine Podcast and, of course, the Harsh Reality Podcast. They're sometimes in the comments as well. And, make sure you subscribe to KWAZ Radio, where we're going to give you even more content rich like this. So, without further ado, we're going to be reading the Book of Power. And I'm going to jump right into it, okay? So this is Martin Delany. Until the African does something, no one will help, all right? So I'm going to tell you, this is not actually a speech. This is in the speech section, right? But I redid it from a dialogue into a speech. Why? Or from a conversation between two characters in his book to a speech. Because it should be something that we study as a speech, right? So he says, this is another passage from Baba's Blake or the Huts of America, edited to appear like a speech. Originally, it was a fictional account of a white Cuban suggesting to a white American that the English were no threat to Cuban rule. Okay, so the context is inside of Blake or the Huts of America is that Blake is born in America during the enslavement of African people. I believe his wife is stolen and sold elsewhere, and he's trying to strike revolution throughout America. Eventually, he finds himself in Cuba, and he's planning Cuba, right? And he's planning he's planning revolution there, right? But because it's a fiction book, Martin Delany jumps out of Blake, the character, and he jumps to just this conversation, the typical conversation on the parlor of two people talking. And there's the Cuban guy talking with the white American, right? That, he's like, the white American's concerned that the English are going to interrupt or interfere with, slavery in Cuba. And the Cuban's like, no. And he explains why. So in this story, like I said, I kept the names of the English and the Cubans instead of writing Eurasians for illustrative purposes, right? But this passage touches upon the principles of temporary interracial alliances and the understanding of white nationalism as a more poignant concept than white supremacy. See, I don't use white supremacy because the reality is that white people are looking for profit, okay? White people they're looking for something, oftentimes profit. And when you're looking for profit can come in many different forms. It doesn't just have to be black people in control. You understand? So and this is what neocolonialism is. Neocolonialism is white profit, black quote unquote control. All right? It's black control for white profit. Colonies were white control, white profit. Neocolonialism is white profit, black control. And that's what you see in Africa today. So it's not so much white supremacy, whites are supreme. It's more so they're looking for a profit. Some people would summarize that as capitalism. Okay. But you don't have to do that. You could just I would simply say white nationalism, or just the understanding that white, or even just, because I'll say it this way. Ida B. Wells put it this way. She says the white man's God is the white man's dollar is his God, and I think she said something along the lines of, to stop it will be to stop many outrages, right? But the reality is that the white boy is going to turn up if you try to stop his money. but we're gonna talk about that a little more, right? But Baba is right in saying that white people would recognize a victorious black nation or even fight another white nation under a cost analysis. So this is what's really important. White people, if a black nation is victorious, sometimes white people will recognize the black victor, right? Or even white people would fight against another white nation for a black nation. And this is what happens with Nzinga. Now a lot of people would say, well, what about Dessalines, right? And of course, this is where it's complicated, right? And it's not really complicated because I'm later going to show, if you scroll ahead, you'll see I talk about trade, but it's complicated, right? But here it goes. It says, but this is the driving point. It can't cost them more to fight with you than it would to fight against you. So that's the driving point. It can't cost them more to fight with you than it would to fight against you. That means that, again, what white people are focused on is profit. And I don't want to say, and here I'm saying, white people and profit. I'm not saying that you should not have profit. I'm a bookman says good morning, right? Illusionary Matron says they respect power temporarily, right? Yeah, temporarily, exactly, right? It's not so much that they profit is let's see, it can't cost them more. Yeah, profit. It's not so much that, see, the thing is this, that you also do a cost analysis. All right, everybody, you have to understand that profit is one of the motivators of all of humankind. Okay? Profit is something that, now, of course, there are other ways to profit besides from financial profit, right? There are other ways to profit besides from financial profit, and that's something that you have to also consider. But profit is something that we do all the time. When if you go to the store, and you're just looking at the different products available to you. Hold on a second. I don't know what's going on. And you look at the different products available to you, right? You realize that the selection that you have, you're going to go by how it profits you in that particular moment. Whether that means, let's say you're buying salmon. You're buying salmon, or you're going to buy, if you're going to buy it with the bone or without the bone. And then you say to yourself, the profit in that situation is, can you feed the amount of people that you're trying to feed with the food you're trying to get at that moment? And then, you might say, well, should I get 2 bags, or should I get 1 bag and, a side, an appetizer? And will that be sufficient? Everything you do kind of goes along with this profit mentality. Would I be tired if I, let's say if I want to do a road trip, would I want to drive for 8 hours? Is that a waste of my time? Or would I just, pay for a plane ticket? There are everything you do has that cost analysis, everything. So, or many things that you do has a cost analysis, right? And nations are no different. Now here's the thing. Cost analysis, I want to say it this way. Not everybody's going to do a cost analysis in the same way. So actually, I was having this conversation on Twitter. I was having this conversation on Twitter where, and that's what I say, follow my Twitter. It's at Onitaset, right? Where somebody was pointing out, oh yeah, Pan-Africanism. We're talking about Pan-Africanism, right? And here's the thing with Pan-Africanism is that everybody's strategic. I pointed out there on Twitter that not everybody's strategic, right? And maybe not everybody's strategic. Maybe, I don't know, right? But in some degree, everybody's strategic, okay? But your strategies are informed by how much intel you have, how much information you have, right? How much intelligence you have, let's say, right? But also, like how much vision, wisdom, discipline, those kind of things, right? Or even like your capabilities, in the sense that, actually, you could do example of Sha'Carri. Sha'Carri is an American sprinter, right? I think I shouldn't even say. All right, but I was gonna say what medal I thought she was gonna get, but but anyway, but she's an American sprinter, and her mother passes away, right? She doesn't know. She just won a big race, and a journalist walks up to her and says, "Oh, so how do you feel about your mother dying?" And she's just like, "Wait, what?" She didn't even know. So then, in order to cope, some people cope differently. Some people get drunk. Some people take pills. Some people do this, so on and so forth. She decides she's gonna, burn a spliff. Now, she knows that smoking weed is going to disqualify her for a month, because of anti-doping. But she does a cost analysis and says, I need to get my emotions in check because I just heard my mother passed away in, a rather, a very, like, a disturbing way. That's a cost analysis. And it's the same with this quote unquote ADOS, African American stuff. The ADOS, what they do is they're saying to themselves, look, what is my best chance? Like, is Pan-Africanism going to work for me in America, right? Or is it going to be integration? And they do a cost analysis. Now, you or I might have more information and say, you know what, this integration is going to disintegrate us. You know what I'm saying? like we go, whatever, right? Or we might have more information, but the reality is that if you're working on the, on the context of media, right? Or on the context of, we made a lot of advances in the last few years in the Americas, right? If you're working on that context, right, then you're doing a cost analysis and you're saying, look, for my individual life, right, if I could get these quote unquote other black people, like if I could get what these other black people got, like what these Nigerians get, and blah, blah, blah. If I can get all that, right, I might be pretty good. Or if I could get some money from all this, I could be pretty good. I can be pretty well off in America. It's a cost analysis. It's a strategy. It's strategic. It's not the strategy that you or I might exercise, right? Or it's definitely the strategy that, you would want to challenge, but it's a strategy, right? And so that's how it is all over the world. Even black nations exercise the strategy. I told you guys last week about a black nation going to like if China approaches a coastal nation and says, you got oil in that ocean nearby, right? And I could go dig it out. You know what I mean? You got oil in that ocean nearby and I could dig it out, but it's going to cost you. No, sorry, it's not going to cost you. I'll pay you to dig out your oil, right? There's a cost analysis because you're saying to yourself, look, either I'm going to get some money or I have to build up, I have to build a ship that can have a drill and that blah, blah, blah. I have to do all this. I have to learn all this mechanics and I don't even know this stuff. And that's going to cost me how much money? And I don't even know where to sell this oil, blah, blah, blah. Or the Chinese can do it for me. It's a cost analysis. Everything is a cost analysis. Now, the only difference I would say between the black nations and the white nations is that when it comes to the cost analysis of these white nations, they make sure they have that good profit. You understand? And black nations don't necessarily make sure they have that good profit. Now, they might individually make sure they have some good profit, but they don't necessarily on a personal scale. But as a nation, no. Like China is striving for a different level in a sense, right? And Africa isn't. And actually, I want to touch on that conversation a little bit. Let me look at these comments though. Illusionate Matron says trade is like a sport in many cultures. Profit reflects the benefit you reap from the work you exert. Trade is like a sport in many cultures. Yeah. Profit reflects the benefit you reap from the work you exert. Exactly. You have to exert more work to get more profit. And that's what keeps other people ahead because they actually develop themselves to trade well. Like we used to be master traders and master crafts people, but we lost that and we're not even trying to recover that. We're not even trying to recover that. I want to actually talk about that because this is something I realized. I'm working on this app. So if y'all know, Revolutionary Matron and I tested out this app this program I was developing, and it has like these buttons and blah, blah, blah. And I actually use that as an educational tool. I realized this, that if I were to keep working at that and I go to Africa and I say, hey, I could put this on your computers, right? And it's like an educational program. That's money in the bank. You understand? That's access to different, opportunities while I'm on the continent. But you have to realize this too, that, and this is something that you want to reflect on too. Marcus Garvey said he don't want everybody to go to Africa, right? Because if everybody go to Africa, because some people are no good in America, there'll be no good in Africa either. Okay? And I know that sometimes you have these videos, because somebody was trying to point me out to me that there was this video of these people go to Africa and they're like, oh, it's a culture shock, and I don't know, and blah, blah. See, a lot of these people that go to Africa, they no good. They were no good in America. They're essentially refugees. Okay? They're essentially refugees going to another nation and saying, why doesn't anybody appreciate me? All I'm doing is nothing. All I'm doing is sitting on my hand, and for some reason, I'm not glorified. There's no welcome party. There's no blah, blah, blah. It's because you wasn't no good where you were. You wasn't no good as a refugee. You understand? You weren't no good in America. See, a lot of people, you have to realize, a lot of people, and understand me, a lot of people in America no good. And a lot of people in Africa no good. But the point is that if you develop your skills, if you say, hey, look here, I got this program that I'm going to put on these computers, and we're going to teach, mathematics, we're going to teach them science, we're going to teach them all sorts of stuff, we're going to teach language, we're going to teach blah, blah, blah. We can do that. We have the technology, we can give it to our people, right? If you can do that, right, you'll have profit on the continent. And that's where it comes in. That's where it comes down to. You understand? Althazar says everybody can't have the same strategy. Oh yeah, that's the Althazar who I was typing with. Althazar on Twitter. So make sure you guys follow Althazar as well. He's a musician, so make sure you check out his channel. Right? Althazar says everyone can't have the same strategy. They bring different facilities and experiences. Exactly. Yes, everyone has counted the cost before the decision. Everybody costed themselves before the decision. There's I don't know if it's an ancient proverb anymore, but there's this quote I like to quote, which is for every joy, there's a price to be paid. Every time you experience some sort of joy, there's a price to be paid. You understand? There's always a cost with everything. If you want to spend time, if you want to spend time with somebody, you're spending time. Now there's joy in that time, but you're still spending time. You still have to, there's nothing, you're not going to get everything all at once. You understand? Or if you want to go on a date, you had a magical date, that's fine. How it burned your pocket, didn't it? You understand? Or everything. There's just different costs. There's different aspects to everything that you do, regardless. I keep going to the date thing, but you're on a date, you're like blah blah, but now you're not spending time with your family. Or you're not spending time with, you're not spending time with your family. There's something. There's always there's it's not, I don't want to say it's a net neutral, right? It depends on how you look at it though, but there's always, it's almost like that physics law. For every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. There's a trade in your life, right? In everything that you do, there's a trade. Everything that you do. If Africa is China's drilling on the coast of Africa, you get less money. You also do not have, your engineers are not put to work. Your people do not develop any skills, but you get some money. You understand? There's a trade in everything. We have different information and perspective. That's Althazar. Well off in America, their different perspective. I want to talk about, so Alma Bookman did this interview of Scully from Organic African Paradigm, and they had a really interesting conversation, So I want to talk about, so I think Scully pointed out that, oh snap, Diaspora Afri LLC is here. Peace fam, heard you had a good sale today, so hope you have many more. But yeah, so she's in the building. All right, but so they have an interesting conversation where Scully points out that a lot of African people have a money consciousness, right? And this is something I wanted to point out to you guys, that this is interesting because, Scully was saying that a lot of African people have a money consciousness, right? And whereas white people tend to have a higher ambition, right? And he's like, if you look at and I think, so I'm a Bookman points out, and you can check out her channel. Her channel's, let me double check. She could type it, I guess, but it's Elo, hold on a second. Oh yeah, maybe Elo Echo Oluwabi. Yeah. Ile Echo Omoluwabi, right? But they have this conversation where where she's like, yeah, if you look at a lot of, she watches Nollywood, right? And if you watch a lot of Nollywood, you'll see that a lot of the stories are based around these black folk getting money, right? Or getting a windfall, And I actually noticed that, because a lot of people are of the mentality that a lot of black people just want money. You know what I mean? Because if you look at the media, if you actually talk to a lot of our people, a lot of us just want money. Now, if you contrast to white folk, there's not too many of their movies are just about a windfall. I could think of maybe one that Adam Sandler's one or whatever. Or maybe there's a handful, but most of them, like you go to their superheroes or their blockbusters, it's like Thanos is taking over the universe, or Superman is, the most powerful person on the planet, or Star Wars is, you got the Empire and like there's this huge power ambition, right? And this is what Scully was talking about. There's this huge power ambition, but I wanna actually do something else and show you guys something. This is interesting. So once upon a time, I was like I said, right when you get out of your relationship, right, you decide to look into flirting or something. You should look into how to get into another relationship, right? And you come across the pickup artists, right? So the pickup artists are like basically white boys who specialize in getting white women, right? Or specialize in getting women, particularly getting women on the first date, because white women is easy like that, but they specialize like that. So you're reading, like you go to Reddit or whatever, and you read into, I think, seduction, like that's what you looked into. And one of the main concepts is this thing right here, abundance consciousness, right? And I mean, when I started typing in abundance consciousness, I typed it, like you see it right here. It says abundance consciousness versus scarcity mindset, right? And they're saying, let me see if this is there here. Abundance consciousness means become aware of the existence of plenty of everything, of feeling in your life and connecting with it, blah, blah, blah. Basically, long story short, these white people, 5 ways to go from scarcity to abundance mindset. And this is Forbes, by the way, right? But the abundance mindset is a trick that white folk use, like it's a consciousness. Like again, like I said, one of my favorite proverbs one of my favorite quotes is, the key to all pounds is the pound of consciousness. White people are telling you that if you have a abundance mindset means this. I'll put it this way, right? It basically means that, like, basically when a guy wants to approach a woman, he's like, she might be too good for me. She's a 9, I'm a 7, or I'm a 6 and she's a 9, and therefore, I can't really talk to her. If I go to her, I gotta approach her like, oh, hello, man, blah, blah. Whereas, and that's a scarcity mindset. Like, I have nothing, right? And see, I'm starting to sound like a day, what is it called, a day coach or whatever? I don't know. But like I have nothing, and therefore I am nothing, and I'll be lucky if she comes to me, right? Whereas the abundance mindset is telling you that no, you have what she wants, right? And not just, and so the abundance mindset, they take it even further, and they're like, look, you're gonna have a different woman every week, or every day, every day of the week. And women and white women are gonna like that about you for some reason. Like if you're a white man and she's a white woman, because you have what she wants. You're looking at her like, no, I got it. But the reason why I point this out is because, and I didn't even remember the scarcity mindset, right? The reason why I point that out is because if you look at the media that black folk produce versus the media that white folk produce, right? White folk are producing these media that goes along the lines of this abundance mindset, of this, I have enough power to run the world, or I have enough power to, like say Star Trek, I have enough power to fly to different parts of the galaxy. I've explored 20% of the galaxy, I go to different planets and I do whatever I want on these different planets because that's who I am. You understand? Whereas the scarcity mindset is, I need some money. You understand? And I realized this because I tell you, somebody was writing me. They were like, hey, how can I pay you for this PDF that you gave me? Right? Because I gave them a PDF and they old school. So they just want to give me a PDF. And I keep telling people, I say, look, it's not even about money to me. You understand? Because I'm not saying that I got the abundance mindset all together, but it's not about money for me. It's about get those reviews on that book. Because sometimes people, I tell you, a lot of people I talk to, they're like, hey, you know what? Hey, let me send you some money. And that will, that's how you'll be appeased. That's what you really want. You're a black person. That's what you really want. And it's like, no, I mean, like the money unless you send in some, like several digits. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like that's not gonna that's just gonna get me a sandwich. I'm in New York. You know what I'm saying? like that amount of money ain't that much in New York. But if you get these reviews on this book, right? Because a lot of people read my book and they're like, they're still reading it. I don't want you to still be reading it. I want you to send that review. Okay? Because when I get those reviews, right? If I get onto the top 10, if I'm selling, several books a day, then suddenly, that's where it's like, yeah, that's what I want. You understand? That's what people really want. They don't just want, that's the difference. That's the difference between, hey, I want power, or I want influence. I want Kagame or whomever reading my book. You know what I mean? Museveni or Museveni's challenger, Bobby Wine, whomever. I want these African leaders reading my book. I want people reviewing these books and handing it over to who, be like, hey, my cousin is Bobby Wine. I want him to check this out. Or my cousin is Museveni. I want him to check this out. I want that. You understand? That way, again, like I said, the abundance mindset. That way, when I walk up to one of these dictators or leaders or whatever, right? They not, cause like I said, there's gonna be a difference between, like I said, if you know good in America, you probably not gonna be no good in Africa, right? If you know good in America, you probably gonna be no good in Africa. What happens in Africa right now is that the police could roll up in your house, right? Or the soldiers could roll up in your house and gun you down for protesting or something like that. You understand? Now you could probably get away with some money, so I'm not going to say, but again, it's going to have to be real money. It's not going to be the, here, look, man, I'm going to send you $10, No. Now, if you got money or you got a name, you understand? If my name means something in Africa and they come to my house and they say, oh, wait a second, are you the person that's educating all these children that run these computer programs and blah, blah, blah? I'm like, yeah, that's me. Or are you the person that the leader is reading the book and it's like, that's the best book I've ever read? Yeah, that's me. Oh, okay. My bad. Sorry. We'll repair your door tomorrow. That's what I want. You understand? So I'm gonna tell you again. The most important thing is that review. That's the most important thing. But anyway, let me actually. I think I just went on a tangent, but I guess because I got diaspora in the building, right? All right, so people, all right, so well off in America, yeah, so well off in America, that's what it is. So Arthur Zor says people have to agree on fundamentals like the distance of the horizon. Yeah, without these fundamentals, there can be no agreement. Yeah, there's no agreement. Revolutionary Matrix says facts, useless people are everywhere. Diaspora Free LLC says thank you. I'm a bookman for some reason is laughing and says Ile Echo Omoabi, right? Arthur Zor Tietsu says money is our only measure because we have been divorced from our heritage. We aren't connected to our essence. We aren't connected. Money is our only measure because we have been divorced from our heritage. We aren't connected to our essence. Exactly. We have been disconnected from our heritage and we've been disconnected from our essence. And we have to reconnect to our essence. And we have to reconnect to our ambition. We have to reconnect to our ambition. Like your heritage was an ambition. I want to say this too, because I remember this. This is what I wanted to say as well. So in the pro-black compendium, right? I kind of, go out of, I kind of say, like I'm a little critical of Shaka Zulu, because Shaka Zulu was like, like straight up butchering people, his own people for, like when you talk about people doing stuff to their own people, like Shaka Zulu was doing that, right? Kind of on the psychopathic tip, right? But if nothing else, Shaka Zulu had ambition. Like Shaka Zulu was not a money conscious person. Shaka Zulu was like, I'm trying to make a black nation. Make a black nation in Africa. And this is what's going to take. It's going to take that real discipline. I'm trying to make a powerful black nation to withstand the threat of these white folk on one hand, but also to just big up, just make ourselves more powerful. He was looking for that national power, and that's something that, like that's the Zulu heritage. You understand? That's somebody who was connected to themselves. Now, I would not do it to his extent, because again, like I said, I don't know about that, like he was a little extreme. You understand? A little bit, like throwing away lives kind of thing. But I get it. You understand? And that's something that, and his people around him, though, weren't on that tip. They were like, let me just live peacefully in my village. And, and they all kind of like fled. And now there's another brother who was during his time, a lot of people ran too. And so he created like a Pan-African, community of people who were fleeing Shaka Zulu. And that's like more in line with what I would say. But again, like just a safe haven, a safe area for African people. That's what you like that also is an ambition. It's not so much, money. Cause like, you go to Dahomey where it's like, what? We can make some money. First they were trying to, allegedly they were first trying to shut off the slave trade because there was they had a neighbor who was trading people. Right. But at the same time, like eventually they might have went to, this is actually profitable. And that's something that you don't want to do. You don't want to be in that scarcity mindset, in a sense. So let's go. Arthur Zoy says, abundance mindset taps into a truth of our essential worthiness and perverts the truth for selfish manipulation. The scarcity mindset is a manipulation of the world to enslave you and rob your power. Exactly. Organic African paradigm. So this is Scully right here. So make sure y'all check out Scully. Says, the one who comes in peace is always welcome. The one who comes to learn is always welcome. The one who comes to teach is always welcome. Positive and creation energy to you, brother. All right. Positive creation energy to you as well. All right. So let's keep going. So it can't cost them more to fight you, blah, 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 right? The potential rewards at the end, whatever they may be, need to outweigh the immediate cost, right? So that's partly why people go to war, okay? Partly why somebody wouldn't get involved in a fight or in a squabble. And that's what I'm saying. Like, and here's the thing that you have to realize. Like, I remember one of the sisters on Twitter said, like she was studying law, like her first year of law school, and she realized that a lot of these laws are not about justice, but they're about power, and that's really what it comes down to, not just power, but also, like I said, profit, right? But the potential rewards at the end, whatever they may be, need to outweigh the immediate cost, and this is something that you could pick up on. Like I said, you could learn from anywhere. If you played a video game, right? When you play a video game, there's something called loot, After you kill some sort of enemy, like an RPG, role-playing game, after you kill an enemy, right, you can pretty much take up, like, you could get something like items, gold, or whatever, equipment, whatever, to make your character stronger, experience to make your character stronger for after that fight, right? In whatever kind of capacity. Now, if you did not get a reward, right, and instead you lost people, you might not go and fight people. And that's actually how life is. That's how that's how government works, in fact. Like, the government is like, you can go ahead and kill somebody if you want to. But the rewards at the end, right, are not going to outweigh the cost. The punishment at the end is not going to outweigh the rewards. Now, if you are able to kill somebody, get their money, and go about your business, then maybe you do it. But because if you were to kill somebody and they figure it out, they're going to kill you. They're going to strip you of those rewards. They're going to whatever, right? That tells you no, or even if you were trying to attack, like you're not going to go like one of the things that we knew growing up, all of us for some reason, all of us in America knew growing up was that you can't get the gold from Fort Knox. You understand? Like I don't even know where Fort Knox is. But I knew growing up as a kid, yeah, you ain't no way you're going to get that gold from Fort Knox. Why? And you realize that the reward at the end, the potential reward at the end, does not outweigh the immediate cost of trying to assault America's gold reserve. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like you figure it's going to be highly protected. Like that's like physical gold. So for instance, England. She says England could extend its acknowledgement for more open trade, but if trade is to be closed after helping you when it was previously open, why would it help you? So this is a really important point right here, I want to say, right? One of the reasons why neocolonialism is happening or neocolonialism exists, Diaspora Afri says correct, but one of the reasons why it exists is because the thing is this, there's something called nationalization. Nationalization, that's a term that people use to say that, instead of having the oil be towards private interests or like a private company, let's say Firestone comes to Liberia and wants to get rubber, right? Get rubber from Liberia, right? Then what you would do if you nationalize the rubber industry, that means that you're going to kick out Firestone. Now, when you kick out Firestone, that also might mean that you're no longer going to trade. Like Firestone now has trades going on in England and France and Germany and England, America, wherever, right? And now you're saying, no, we're no longer going to trade. We're just going to like pretty much leave it alone maybe. Or we're going to do whatever we want with the rubber, right? We're going to put the rubber in our own community, or we're going to charge you more for the rubber, right? Now, if you're going to do that, then the countries that were benefiting from that cheap trade of yours are not going to help you. And in fact, they're probably going to fight you. Whoever says they want to nationalize that resource, whether it is rubber, oil, copper, coltan, whatever. Whoever says they want to nationalize that resource, right? They're not going to help you. And they might actually fight you because they're looking to, like they're depending on those resources that you have. Okay? They're depending on those resources that you have. Right? And that's the main catch, when you talk about the Congo, right? Like I remember I was like, what would you do? Like there was this tweet about, I'm on Twitter, right? There was this tweet about, I think a large diamond found somewhere. I'm not talking about the one that was recent. I'm talking about one that was like a year ago, right? They found this large diamond, and so the villagers, they gave it to the mayor, and the mayor eventually like gave it to the governor, and the governor was like, and then the governor like sold it, but there was no money brought to the village that found it, and so people are like, yeah, that was so dumb. Why would you give it to the mayor? Why would you blah, blah, blah? And it's like, the reality is this. And so I asked, well, what would you do? And somebody said, well, just leave it there. You understand? Like, if you're going to sell it, right? No, I mean, like, no, the point being made was this. If you're some little tiny village in the middle of nowhere, how are you going to sell, let's say $1 million diamond? Right? Who are you going to sell it to? Who are you going to bring it to? You got no access in the middle of some random village. You got to give it to somebody else in a sense, or you got to sell it to somebody else. And they're not going to have $1 million just laying around like, oh yeah, let me just whatever. So of course, like no matter what happens, you're going to be screwed of your resources. Now, the only thing that you could do is say, well, I'm just going to leave it alone. I see a big diamond, I'm just going to leave it there. Or I'm going to keep it in my backyard. It's not worth anything to keep in your backyard, but basically you're not going to sell it. Now, if you do not sell it, if you stop selling your resources, right? Then the people who need those resources are going to put people in charge who want to sell resources. And that's the big difference. You understand? It's almost like you're on a land of abundance. Okay? You're on a land of abundance and you don't know what to do with it. Do you understand? Because if you were able to use this abundance for yourself, then if you were able to defend this abundance, then you wouldn't have any problems at all. But if you can't defend this abundance, then yeah, you're going to have problems regardless. Because as soon as you figure out, you know what, I don't need to give it to this other person, they're going to come and take it. If they can. So you got to get strong. Otherwise, it's your loss. You see? So I'm going to continue. It says, now here's the catch. You don't want to trade with England or any Eurasians for that matter. That's my opinion, right? You don't want to trade with them. You know, you want to have internal trade. You want to trade with Africans. Now, I'm not going to say that, you know, if you were a mega nation that you would not have, like, you would not sell coltan to other people, you know, because coltan is a worthwhile resource for, you know, computing and satellites. And maybe you don't want to be, you know, maybe other people need computers and satellites, right? And they're willing to pay handsomely for computers and satellites. Maybe. Now, for me, I'm like, that's not my problem, obviously. Right? It's not my problem, but I could understand if somebody in the future says, you know what? Well, I mean, everybody should have a smartphone. I don't think that should be something said, but I think it's possible. But again, you know, the reality is this, that you have on your land, you have what can stop this white boy's technological climb. And this white boy is climbing in his technology, like he's trying to get into the future, into this clean future, not clean future, but this futuristic, you know, like what you see in Star Trek and Star Wars and all that. He's trying to get there. And what it takes to get there is the stuff that's under your part of the planet, right? And you can decide whether or not that happens. So he's making sure that you can't stop him. You understand? And that's really what's happening. Anyway, so fortunately, the other catch is you have more to offer than trade. So you have more to offer than trade. And so this is what's important too. If you're strong, right, it can be your offer is to not invade your English colony or to not attack England itself. You know what I'm saying? So like if you're powerful people, you could say, you know what, I'm not going to give you anything, but what I'm going to do is I'm not going to destroy that village you got over there. Or I'm not going to go into your country and take over that part of your country. You understand? If you're strong, you could say that. Right now, you can't stop them from coming over to you. You can't even sell a diamond. You understand? You can't even sell a diamond. You can't even sell a coltan. I told you last week. That's just dirt to you. You can't do nothing with the coltan. You think it's a priceless mineral? No, it's a worthwhile mineral if you know how to engineer. But if you're not engineering your own stuff, it ain't worth nothing to you. You know, we have to be realistic about what industrial age Africa is in. You know? Like we are like independently without white folk, like we're like on the 1800s in Africa. We just got pretty little things that these white boys brought to us. You know, we don't have the science. Hold on a second. Anyway, so yeah, so fortunately the other trade, blah, blah, blah. So this is what you need to understand, right? When it comes to geopolitics, it's war, power, and nations. That's what you have to understand, right? So this is what your Keru need to understand, and that understanding comes about through Boko Waset Na Keru. Now, Boko Waset Na Keru is, of course, an essay in the Book of Power, around page 200. But, you know, hopefully when you get the book, you can get a grasp of that, you know? Now, let's see. Okay, so Mercedes. Oh, so Revolutionary Nation says war is a way of being. That's it, right? And Mercedes says, bro, I didn't listen to you and went down the road of religion to start to organize and join the nation. Faking being a Muslim to organize didn't end well. Oh, okay. Well, should sound like you got a story. So So you type it, we can talk about it. All right. But yeah, all right. So let's see. So you don't understand. All right. So this is the quote. This is the speech. You can see it's only a paragraph. That's why I had a longer exposition. So it says, "You don't understand political matters. The English are no threat to white Cuban rule or the black enslavement in Cuba, and they have no more love for Africans than for other people." Right. So again, the English are no threat to white Cuban rule. So this is it. Right. They have sympathy for the Africans because he is oppressed, but they never help, in a general sense, those who don't help themselves. This is something, again, like I said, this is a cost analysis. You don't help other people that don't help themselves. If Africans rise and take off the heads of white Cubans, declaring their independence, the English will be the first to acknowledge it. But they'll never come and cut off white heads. Now, again, reason why you would acknowledge a nation for cutting off the heads of its leaders is because that nation now has the power, right? That nation can do the trades. That nation can so on and so forth. When you have that, or that nation could allow for travelers and this and that, so forth. When you have that, then yeah, they'll recognize you. They'll acknowledge you, right? But they'll never come and cut off white heads, politely handing them to Africans. You understand? White people are not going to put you in power if white people are already in power. Okay? White people, in fact, white people will put, only time white people will put somebody in power is if they are as, cronies or puppets. They'll put in a crony or a puppet. This is what you see all over Africa. They will cut off a black person's head. Like they'll cut off Sankofa's head. In fact, or they'll cut off Lumumba's head. And when I say cut off Lumumba's head, I really mean it. They literally cut him up into pieces and threw him in a garbage can and burned his body after he was dead. They really did that. That's one of the movies I tell y'all to watch. Lumumba. Watch Lumumba. That's a good movie, right? But I think it starts off, first scene is, them cutting up Lumumba, and that's not a spoiler alert. If it's a spoiler alert, then you need to pick up a book. You know what I mean? You need to pick up a book. You should know that Lumumba is killed at the end of the movie, but killed at the end of his life, obviously. But yeah, they're not going to cut off white heads and politely hand them to Africans. The English must see that something is done before they'll recognize the doer. Okay, and here's the thing too. It's like, again, everybody has an interest. This is geopolitics, like I said. Every nation has an interest in every other nation. You understand? Or like if I want, I don't know what they have in, let's say Burma. Burma's a nation, right? No, let me not say Burma because I don't even know what that is. I want to get something outside of, all right, Singapore. I don't know what they have in Singapore, but let's say they have this special plant in Singapore. I could be like, hey, like we might talk about this bartering thing. Right? We might say, oh, we don't like bartering, right? But the reality is that that's what nations do. Nations do barter, or, you could do the cash thing, you could pay them, so on and so forth. But then they're going to want to buy this, whatever you have for sale. And that makes sense, So if they have something that you want, and remember, you're in Africa, so you have an abundance of probably most everything. Now, maybe there's something in Singapore you don't have, right? Maybe there are fresh seeds that you want or what have you. And if that's the case, then maybe you're willing to trade something that you have of value for it. And maybe they only want coltan. That's fine, right? But again, like I said, I'm mostly, but again, if somebody's going to help you, they need to know that they're going to get something from it. And the English are not going to, like a lot of African people who want to end slavery. Like this. Remember, Delany is writing this during time of our enslavement, right? A lot of people that want to end slavery might not have any deeper economic pursuit. Just like I said, like Scully and Amma were pointing out, on their channel, right? On Amma's channel, right? A lot of black folk are just about money. So if you put somebody with a money consciousness or scarcity consciousness into the leadership, then the whole nation is going to have a scarcity consciousness. You understand? This is why I tell you to focus on the leadership. This is why I tell you that my objective is more so getting this book in the hands of the leader, change the leaders or lead the changes, right? Lead the changes. The reality is that if you have this scarcity consciousness, the scarcity mindset, when you're running the nation, then the nation is going to have a scarcity mindset. And here's the thing, though, it's that, or even let's say you have an abundance mindset. Let's say you have an abundance mindset. White folk might not want you to have an abundance mindset in government. Like Nyerere. Nyerere, I would say, had an abundance mindset. Let's say, right? Where he's like, you know what? We can implement our own system. We could implement our own version of socialism and uplift our people and so on and so forth, and do it this way, so on and so forth. Now, I believe that white folk were in his ear telling him, oh, that's not real socialism. No, do this, do that, do this, do this. And then when he did all those things, he got screwed over, right? But the point is that if you are Sankara, same way, Sankara is like, you know what? We could have we could have agricultural independence. We could do this, so on and so forth. We'll say no to Monsanto. Well, Monsanto probably wasn't around back then. I don't know. But the point is that we can say no to this, and we could do this, and we could do that. And that's the kind of mindset that they don't want you to have in power. No, they want, I think, Campore or something, where he's like, hey, you know what? I just want money. Or, we could just buy seeds from these, we could buy genetically modified seeds and have independence. We can do that. The point is that mindset, the key to all problems, the problem of consciousness, that mindset that you'll have will change, will decide whether or not somebody would even help you. Somebody on the outside will even help you. It's the same way it happens with our entertainers. Somebody like, a lot of these entertainers are not going to be, all right, like for instance, two people inside the comments are musicians, right? At least I know two, right? So Diaspora, Afri, Arthur Zor, they're musicians, right? Now they're going to come up. Now, the example I was going to use is Ciroc, right? But but these people, or even like I said, like Asani is also one. She's on Twitter, but and of course there's that brother, B Dot, like conscious people, right? So they're conscious musicians. Now, what that consciousness and that conscious musician does, right? That they're not necessarily going to, or even Chaos One is a good example. They're not going to necessarily, be as promoted as mainstream because you can't manipulate them as much. You understand? Because they're not looking for, oh yeah, look, I'm just trying to get out of, like Nas is like, I'm just trying to get out of poverty. You know what I mean? I'll do anything for $1. You understand? Or Jay-Z, like, I'm just trying to get out of the hood. I'll do anything for $1. But then you have these other musicians who are like, you know what? I don't like music is for a message. Music is for, like, the importance of music is to spread a message, right? And so white folk are not trying to get behind them. You understand? Now, of course, if they change their tune, then sure. But if they don't change their tune, then white folk are like, you know what? Well, we'll see. We'll see. But this is something that somebody else pointed out. This brother. Now, he was one of my favorite authors back in the day before it became me, right? But anyway, Adi Raffo, he was pointing out that a lot of times, a lot of the entertainers are already compromised individuals. So like white people already knew about, let's say, Bill Cosby before he became famous. You get what I'm saying? White people already know about a lot of these entertainers and like their bad habits and idiosyncrasies and all that before they become entertainers. And that's part of the reason why they're chosen. Because if you got a clean if you got a clean background or a clean bill, and this is something that we know happens. Because this is what fraternities are about. Fraternities, they have like these secret initiations where you do something embarrassing and compromising in order to become a part of the organization so that you are compromised and you can be obedient. They have a video of you with a goat or something, and they're like, hey, you mess around and this is going to your family. This is going to your children. This is going to so on and so forth. And this is you voluntarily doing this. This is the kind of person you are. You understand? And then, there's some people who are like, yeah, I'm not going, like first me, you tell me, hey man, you get some good power if you just mess with this goat. It's like, no, I'll do it the other way. Like, I think I'll do something else. You know what I'm saying? But like, some people are like, shit, just a goat. Anyway, Revolutionary Matrix says, Mercedes, all religion belongs to Eurasians. Spirituality belongs to Africans, right? Diaspora Africa says war, power, and question mark. I didn't hear the last. Okay, so diaspora, I think I was reading this. So it says war, power, and nations. Nations like England, so on and so forth. Future Scope is here. Peace, Future Scope. Says thief of intellectual property is the way of third world. Punish the first for history. Do like India and set up enclaves to take all the first world creative tech jobs. Yeah. So is the way of the third world. Thief of intellectual property is the way of the third world. The first of history. Punish the first for history. Do like India and set up enclaves to take all the first world. Yeah, I mean, look, you can take their jobs from them, and you could use your skills or take your jobs for yourselves. And like I said, like I was talking about the computer program. When I was younger, most every school had this thing called Oregon Trail. So one of the things that, like, if you like, I don't really talk to white folk, but if you do talk to white folk and you reminisce with them, reminisce not like you know them or something, but that's the point. Like, the point is that you don't know them, but they know that you know Oregon Trail, and they know that you know the Flintstones. They know that you know Scooby Doo. Because like I remember, like I was like working this little job or whatever, and they were just like, oh yeah, here's a Fred Flintstones gif, and I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I recognize that from this American childhood. And they're all the way in I want to say California or something, or they're probably in the Midwest or something. I don't know, but the point is that there's this broadcast. There's this experience that was normalized in America. Why do I point that out? Because that means that you could do the same thing in Africa. It don't have to be Oregon's Trail. It don't have to be a game on traveling across the United States or even traveling across Africa. It don't have to be that. But the point is that if you can get into the computer system, like another game I played was like Ant Colony, like Sim Ant or something like that. Eventually, like SimCity came from that and all that stuff. But the point is that I was playing that in school. The point being that if you can get computers in schools, if you can get computer programs in schools, you can normalize and universalize the experience so that in 30 years, or even let's say 40 years, right? You got 30-year-olds talking about, oh yeah, remember when we used to play, African Parade or whatever. You know what I mean? Like we used to play African Parade in elementary school. You know what I mean? Like the point is that if you are actively being useful on the continent in 30, 40 years, 50 years, whatever, is going to talk about what you've been doing. Because somebody did Oregon Trail. Somebody programmed that, or a couple of people programmed that. A couple of people made those sales to different schools. A couple of people traveled across the world. Scooby Doo. Somebody made Scooby Doo. You know what I mean? So somebody made. So like you have to be the makers, because that's what you are born to be. What you're born to do. Make, create, and be somebody useful. But anyway, so until the African does something, the English will let them remain as he is. So don't be troubled about English or African interference in Cuba, nor in America for that matter. So he's saying that, now, of course, you don't want to rely on anybody's help, but you have to realize that unless you do something, no one's going to interfere on your behalf. You understand? No one's going to interfere on your behalf. And it should be something that's more, and you have to realize this too, that this actually applies. I want to say this also applies. And this is actually one of the reasons why I say that it's going to be difficult for Pan-Africanists to win ADOS in America. Because, again, unless Afropuck 2097, you talking about 2097? You mean 2077? Wait, is it 2097? 2077. But yeah, if you don't, Chaka says Afropunk. Afropunk. Oh, okay, Afropunk. Yeah, Afropunk. I thought you were talking about that game. Afrofunk? I don't remember. But yeah, but the I think it is that game. All right, but the point being that if you don't do something, if you don't, and here's the thing with America, it's like this. Like, realistically speaking, Africa, even if Africa becomes a superpower, right? If it wants to intervene in America, it will need to intervene after the quote unquote African Americans do something. Like, unless Africa were really, 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 really strong, it would take a lot for it to go all the way into America and change America's policies. You understand? So again, like, I understand why ADO West is like, you know what? I don't know if Pan-Africanism is going to benefit me. Right? Because you have to understand that Pan-Africanism or even African nationalism is supposed to improve somewhere in Africa. Right? Cyberpunk. Right? It's supposed to improve something in Africa. Okay? And the reality is that if you're not in Africa, then you want to be in that somewhere. You understand? That's what you really want to do. Now, there's other ways to work around how it can benefit you in the diaspora, right? Like for instance, they could easily like just fund or finance your trip or your travels or whatever. But the reality is, it's like I said, for instance, if you look at America as a pan-European experiment, right? America did not or does not really benefit the English that were left behind. You understand? It doesn't benefit the English that were left behind or the Germans that were left behind. It doesn't directly benefit them. It gives them the opportunity to migrate to America and get a better life if that is what it's offering. But it does not directly benefit them. And that's something that you have to come to terms with. You know? So if you're in the middle of England and you're pro-American, right? It kind of like, what? Like, it doesn't really add up. Or it does add up or it doesn't add up. But the point being that if we're developing a nation par excellence in Africa, that's going to benefit the people who actually decide to be the pioneers in that social experiment, who decide to have that black freedom, black power there. But if they do not want to leave, right? If they don't want to leave, that's it. That's on them. And so I understand if they say, you know what, this is not for me. Pan-Africanism is not for me because I want to stay here. If you want to stay in America, like, chances are you're always going to be the underclass, and that's fine. I mean, and you have to just be fine with that. You know, I wanted to say, so I don't know, I can't really correlate it, so I'm just gonna bring up these two other things that I wanted to bring up. Hold on a second. So somebody says, Futurescope says, this is why they defend Middle Earth, Lord of the Ring, King Arthur fantasy so much. The West isn't built on Middle East religion myths. It's built on the Middle Earth fantasies. Yeah, exactly. The Lord of the Rings, blah blah blah. That's what they're about. And Mchaka says, oh, I see why he says 97 though. 2097. This guy, Mchaka 97 says 2097. So this is LOL, the African cyberpunk. So here's the two things I want to point out too. So Marcus Garvey says that like, he lists three types of power. He says physical, financial, and scientific. You know, he says injustice in man, like, the only security against injustice in man is power, physical, financial, and scientific. I want to show you guys two things before we get off, right? So the first one is this, right? This is a video on like sometimes why people just, like, if you just pay attention, this video is called "The Truth on Wireless Charging," right? And look at this. Engineers of the... Oh wait, hold on a second. Let me see if I have the... Yeah, I think the audio's on.
Energy field, digging deeper into the technology and beyond. Theoretically, it is possible to transfer energy over greater distances with electromagnetic waves. NASA awarded one company $900,000 for its laser-powered climbing robot. The robot had no power source on board and managed to climb 900 meters up a cable suspended from a helicopter in just under 4 minutes, using a high-powered laser to provide enough energy to solar cells on its undercarriage. This is a fascinating technology that could have huge potential. We could have huge solar cells in space beaming down energy to Earth or other satellites, but right now the power lost in transmission is far too great to be useful, and this is a problem that is really facing current technology on Earth, whether we want to acknowledge it or not.
Okay, so you saw NASA's paid $900,000 for pretty much a laser beam that could power devices from a distance, right? And now this is just something else I want to show you. This is Andrew Wiles. Look at this, mathematician, member of the Royal Society, research professor, best known for proving Fermat's last theorem, right? Awarded the 2016 Abel Prize, 2017 Copley Royal Society, appointed Knight Commander of the Order of the British Empire in 2000, and 2018 was appointed blah 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 MacArthur Fellow. So Fermat's last theory, for those of you who are not familiar, basically it means a to the n plus b to the n equals c to the n. There's no three positive integers that could satisfy this, and Fermat pointed out in 1637, and in 358 years there was only one successful. The first successful proof was in 1994, and so the guy got an award for it. Why do I say this? Because again, these white people, like I said, physical, financial, and scientific, these white people are advancing science. They're advancing their power. They're paying. They're contributing to their own people. They're giving their own people the acknowledgments that their own people are earning. You know. Oh, my man said, Chaka says something to Texas. Exactly, right? But they're giving their people, like you make this power beam, you get $900,000. That's something that this government is doing with the money that it has. It's providing for its own people to advance its own people. You know, SpaceX gets this contract. It's you know, and SpaceX by, like I told you, was that guy. The one who's whatever, right? But he's the Tesla company. SpaceX, the thing with it is that he can only hire Americans. You know, he can only hire Americans for it because he's dealing with that kind of technology. The point is that these people are doing, like, there's a cost analysis. They know that if somebody's going to be advancing some mathematics, if somebody's going to be advancing the science, that there's some sort of payment for it. And this is why I tell you. And they give them awards. They give them recognition. England makes this guy a knight. You know, he's a part of the royal order now. He's royalty now for proving a theorem for England. And it's a useless theorem, so on and so forth. My point, Mr. Doge, aka Elon Musk, yeah. Mercedes says the black boule caste are okay with being in the slave class just as long as they are not at the bottom of the slaves. This feels like an already lost battle. Yeah, it's a lost battle. It depends on where you are, but it's a lost battle, right? If you're in America, it's a lost battle. If you're in Africa, but here's what it is. If you're in Africa, you can do this. We can do this. Now, all I'm going to say is this. I got this book, and I don't get any awards for it. I don't got any awards for it. You know, like no recognition, no, you know, hey, you wrote this great book, blah, blah. Here's this, you know, this grant. Here's this money. Here's this, so on and so forth. Here's no awards. All I'm saying now is this. Let me get these 5-star reviews. Okay, let me get these 5-star reviews. Let me get these reviews, because that's about all that's all I could ask for. I know we do not have, you know, this prize or that prize. You know? And this is something that only, like, white people for some reason know to do this for their own people. You know, like right now the conversation's on the Olympics and so on and so forth, and the conversation is, you know, well, here's the things that white people like disqualified this woman for, you know, smoking weed, and you know, you can say whatever you want about that, right? But the reality is this, you know, you don't have any award ceremony for the fastest sprinter among your own people. You don't even big up your own sports. You don't even look, I'm Chaka gave me my first award right there. He gave me a little trophy. So here you go, bro. All right. But anyway, but like, you don't have your own sports, like Shakari and Shelly Ann could go have their own race, their own personal race, pay-per-view or whatever. Obviously it's going to be a short ass pay-per-view because, they run in about 10 seconds. But the point is that you can do these things, but you don't. You don't give out fastest person awards. White people do. And it really tells something that white people formed this quote unquote Olympics to promote pan-European unity, right? Or you want to say global unity, but they do it to promote unity. And in order to promote unity, they say, hey, look at these slaves I got. Look at my slaves are better than your slaves. Watch how fast my slave runs compared to your slave. Watch how fast my disadvantaged people run compared to your disadvantaged people. And we go along with it. We look at it for entertainment. We do not say, hey, look how fast my people are compared to your people, or look how fast my people are. We instead run for these other nations, and we let America, because a lot of times I remember growing up, America takes home most of the gold medals. And it's like, yeah, I'm so good. And most of the people that most of the athletes are the underclass. But anyway, I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. I'll go with the list. Make sure you guys drop your likes before you dip. But Revolutionary Matron, of course, always a pleasure. Make sure you check out her channel. I'm a bookman. Her channel is Ile Echo Omo Luwabi, and she'll laugh at you if you don't remember it. If you don't remember that Yoruba term, right? Arthur Zora Tietsu, Tielzu. So check out his channel. He's a musician, like I said. Diaspora Afri, she makes jewelry and she's a musician, so check her out. Organic African Paradigm, he's like he's a deep thinker. Check him out. Mercedes, all the time it's gonna tell us a story about joining the nation and faking being Muslim to organize. So I'm waiting for that story. Future Scope is letting us know that we can go to we can take over, we can copy, or we can do what these foreigners are doing, nah, I shouldn't say foreigners, my bad. He said third world, but I don't know if y'all remember that story. So there's a story inside of the Carl Cook's Reader, right? Where he's talking about this certain conference. There's a conference that the quote unquote, the non-imperialist West is meeting up to get rid of imperialism. And obviously they don't actually invite the Americans, the African Americans, but they as a people get together and they're like, here's how we can fight imperialism. And so we have to remember that conference and try it for ourselves. And of course, Chaka 97, great brother as always. So Mercedes Olatin says, it's all a lie, dude. You need to form your own little community to give yourself awards. Fake it until you make it. Most awards given is just publicity to give yourself status. Yeah, exactly. I want, but if I give myself my own awards, you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to seem, I'll be like, oh yeah, so I got the best African, best African authors for the last century. It's not going to feel the same. I got to be like, somebody else said it, you know what I mean? But anyway, other than that, everybody, thank you so much for joining. And of course, and as always, Shem Hotep.